I have a huge watch list. The way I trade that would be an interesting thing to make a video about as well. I think you can trade up to 30 to 50 different things. You have to do your analysis one time, like I did on this pair, the Australian dollar Swiss franc, and I set 2 alarms. I wanted to get notice when price reached this lower level, or in other words, this near this support or demand zone, or I would want to be alerted if we get into a resistance zone or a supply zone. Well, that last thing happened. So how I analyze this, this to me was the resistance zone, this to me was the support zone around here. Why is it not around here? Because I want to see some more touches of this line. Then this, of course, this is the weekly chart, by the way. So we start on a bigger time frame. I do my multi-time frame analysis. I go from the weekly down to the 4-hour chart with the daily chart in between. So this is the first thing that I want to draw on this chart. Then the second thing I do is I use these rectangles to point out where in this case a supply zone is at, and in this case down here we can see a demand zone. Let me a little bit lower, a little bit something like this. So supply and demand zone, let me point that out for you guys in text. So this is the like I said, supply zone. Let's make it a little bit smaller. You catch my drift. Okay, let's make that blue for now. Okay, so we are in a supply zone right now, and a demand zone down here. Demand zone. Okay, well, I hope that's clear. For those of you who are thinking about what do you mean, as you can see, price this was in January 2015. So for 2 years, this price has been moving in a certain range. As you can see now, we've entered the top of this range, which is interesting because a lot of times there's no reason to think the price will continue to move up. So that's not a scenario. Supply zone, why that? Because price never just touches a trend line. Supply and demand zones give you a broader view or a broader area to go long or to go short. Demand zone, people are considering to go long, and this short, people want to buy this currency, want to go long, and people want to go short, they want to sell this currency. So it's a demand zone, people want to buy, they want to have this, and a supply zone, people want to get rid of this, so we are selling. So that's for supply and demand, and this resistance and this support zone. Then again, also on this time frame, I want to draw in a very obvious trend line. I see this one. This to me is a very obvious trend line. I think we can agree on that. So that's very important for me to put in this chart. I don't know if this is another obvious one, but maybe we're in some sort of small range. For now, I'm not gonna put this one in. I want to keep it clean, I want to keep it clear. So supply demand, we draw that around the resistance and the support on the weekly chart, and this is a pretty obvious trend line, so I want to put that in too. Let's go down. We don't have to watch back in time for like what was it, 2 years. We are trading right now. Price has been in this range, we can see that. Well, this is what I call, let me put that in as well. Let's put that one in green. This is what I call a reversal trade. Why? Because let me point that out as well. pretty obvious, price is actually reversing. We saw it on the weekly chart. We came into this supply zone. Price has been struggling around here. Made a little high, a higher high, in fact, than the last time. But you know, that being said, we are in a upward going price range. That's important. So this level we drew on the weekly chart is an important level to watch. But there is huge selling pressure around this area because we entered this supply zone. So that is what we see. Price turned around. It broke the moving average. That's one clue. So let me draw those clues in as well. Maybe we can do that over here. So the first clue was we were entering a supply zone. It's clue number one. Clue number two is we are seeing a break of the moving average. Moving average. So that's the second clue. Let's collect some clues here. What else do we got? I think we get another clue on a 4-hour chart, and that's the fact that price was making highs. Not really. I was looking for divergence. I do not really see divergence on a 4-hour chart. Maybe I did on the daily. I don't know yet. No, this is not. There's a little bit of divergence over here. So we see this high and followed by a higher high, and we see this high followed by a lower high. So it is divergence we're seeing here, but you know, not really convincing. But let me just put it in. Divergence on RSI. Little bit. So it is a clue. So like I say a lot of times, you do not trade an indicator, you trade a strategy. So we are collecting clues on what price will be doing now. We also saw a retest of this moving average. I want to put that in, and it failed, and price continued to go lower. And we also saw a retest of this resistance. Price touched it and then fell back pretty aggressively. So we saw then again for retest moving average failed. What did I say? Retest resistance failed as well. And I see already a sixth clue, and that's price action, lower lows and lower highs. So 6 clues. What do I mean by lower lows, lower highs? This was a high, price moved again. This to me is not a really higher high, but this is definitely a high high. This is definitely a high high, and then we started to see a shift in momentum. We saw the high didn't come back to this one, so this is the first lower high. A break of this moving. Let me just draw it on. A break of this low indicated a lower low. So a break over here, it broke, and we saw more momentum to the downside. So in fact we are seeing a shift in price action as well. So this reversal we already have in 6 clues that confirms that there is a reversal in here. This trend line seems to be holding for now. This is still a daily chart. Do we see another important trend line over here? I think we do. When we connect these lines, well, we are seeing a reaction around this line, so I think this line has some meaning. I want to see a break of this line. So I'm gonna call that a, first of all, I'm gonna call that I want to see more clues. So the 7th clue I want to see is a break of the daily trend line. 8th clue I want to see is a break of this low, because that's a pretty obvious area. So again, the 8th clue I want to see is a break of the low around, where is that? That is around the 175. Let's say one was a little bit lower, 174.8. 0.74.8, is that correct? 74.89, yeah, something like that. So that's another one. So a break of this line will give us some more room to go lower. Then we have this support, so let's draw that in. That needs to be broken. It was resistance over here, it was support over here. When we go back, we saw that this price level was actually level. Price struggled a lot, so the 8th clue is that we need a break of this one. Then we go, if it does, we might get a small pullback, some struggle between bulls and bears. If it breaks, of course, again we go further, and then we have another obstacle, and that's the weekly or the bigger time frame trend line. That's over here. This one will be a tough one to break. So the 9th extra clue we want to see is a break of the weekly long-term, oh, wait a minute, long-term trend line. And if it does, if it actually breaks, of course, then there is nothing in between, and we can go even further. Well, I see one more area that needs to be broken for even further decline, and that's the 73.2 area. Low needs to be broken as well. So let me switch this over here and go through it with you guys one more time. We entered a supply zone that we drew on the weekly chart. That's the first clue we already have in. So when we see this, we entered supply zone, and we actually started turning around. That's the first clue. Break of the moving average. Yes, we see that on the daily chart. We saw a break, a clear break, a retest, and it held, so we are still trading below that. Of course, on the 4-hour chart we are trading below it as well, even though we are seeing a small retest. We didn't talk about that actually, but I'm seeing something else, and that's, let me see if I can draw that one in. Where is it? Yeah, let me see. We see a head and shoulder pattern a little bit. Right shoulder test and didn't hold. So I'm not gonna leave this one in right now, but it looks like a head and shoulder. So let's go back to the daily, where we have a clear picture. What else do we got? Break of the moving average, yes sir. Divergence on the RSI, a little bit, but you know, it's there. Retest moving average, yes, we saw this retest, we see those pin bars, so price didn't go through. Retest of the resistance, yes, this area, retest over here, price failed. Price action, lower lows, we also see that, we saw a break of this one, we are seeing lower lows, and as well this high is a second high over here, which is a lower high as well. Then we want to see a continuation of this pattern, so we need more clues that will give us a clear picture of what will go on. Break of the daily trend line, we drew in this trend line over here. When this breaks, we have some more potential. Next thing we run into is the low around here of the 74.8, 0.748, sorry. Break of the weekly is the next obstacle where price will probably struggle, and then we see this low that needs to be broken as well. So that's the way I think you should look at the chart. That's the way I look at the chart. I think there is a high probability. I think you can read the charts very clearly when you trade like this. I think this is a great video. I think it's very clear that what the clues that we already have, the more clues that we are looking for. I don't see a reason why we should not be trading this. This is a great setup if you ask me. You're welcome. Happy trading, and I hope you make some nice profit from this one.